Welcome to our class today, and we are going to discuss about a topic known as regression analysis. And we usually define regression as analysis as a statistical model that derives equations in the form of y is equals to a plus bx. So in the form of y is equals to a plus bx. So it's a statistical model that derives equations in that particular form, which is going to be in the form of y is equals to a plus bx, whereby a is going to be the y-intercept, b is going to be the gradient or the slope, and x is going to be the predictor variable, so or what we call the independent variable, and then y is going to be the dependent variable. So this particular kind of a and b, we are going to form some formulas from them so that we can be able to predict the future. So regression is basically being used in terms of forecasting. We predict the future through this particular regression analysis. So in the sense that now we can be able to predict maybe the prices in the future, the sales in the future, and other particular things that we can actually be able to forecast in the future. So this particular gradient is going to be given by this particular formula. So which is b will be given by n summation xy minus summation x summation y over n summation x squared minus summation x into bracket squared. So that's how we get b. And n in this sense, in this particular case, is actually going to be the sample size. So n will be the sample size in this particular formula. It's going to be our sample size. X, we are going to have the summation of our x values from the equation, and also we are going to be given the y value. So what we are going to do is just getting that particular summation. So we are going to get the summation itself from there. So for you to get a in this case, we are going to find it using this particular formula. So a will be summation y minus b summation x divided by n. So that's how we can actually be able to get that particular a from that particular formula. So we are going to have b, and also we are going to have our a here from the given kind of the formula that we have here. So we are going to have a equation. We want to be able to have a equation whereby we can be able to solve using these particular formulas. And for example, one of the equations that we are going to have is this. We are going to have x, and we are also going to have y. So I've said that from the equation they are going to give you x and y, the values of x and also the values of y. So let us assume that x we have as 1, maybe 3, maybe 4. Yes, let me just have 3 so that you can be able to have an easy understanding. And then y values you have maybe 2, maybe you have 4, and maybe you have 7. And then they ask you to form the regression equation from this particular data. You form the regression equation from the data given below. So in the equation they must give you x, and also they must be able to give you y, and they are going to ask you to form the regression equation. So what are we going to do in this particular case? Remember the formula you can be able to see. For us to be able to get b, we are going to take n. N is the sample size, and the sample size is going to be counted as follows. So you can be able to see the x values are 1, 2, 3. That's the sample size. The y values are 1, 2, 3. That's our sample size. So the sample size is basically 3. So we have 3 as our sample size. So the next thing that we are going to do, because from this formula they are saying summation x, so we must get the summation x. So that's why knowing the formula is going to be very important. You must be able to have an understanding of this particular formula. So because they are saying summation x, summation is just adding up. So you're going to add 4 plus 3, which is 4 plus 3, which is going to be 7, plus 1, and then it will be 8. So summation x is going to be 8 here. Summation y, which is going to be actually 7 plus 4. If you take 7 plus 4, that's going to be 11. And then plus 2 is going to be actually 13. So summation y is going to be 13 here. So you can be able to see we have summation x and also we have summation y from the formula under the numerator part. So we have calculated our summation x, we have also calculated our summation y. So from the formula they are saying that we also have summation xy. You can be able to see that we have summation xy, meaning that we are going to extend our table a little bit so that we have xy here. And for us to be able to get this xy, it is simply this x times y. So which is going to be 1 times 2, which will be 2, 3 times 4, which will be 12, 4 times 7, which will be 28. So again, you take your calculator there, you add 28 plus 12 plus 2. Then the answer you are going to get is actually 42. So it will be 42, which is going to be summation xy. And then in the denominator here, you can be able to see we have x squared. So we are going to add x squared in our table here. And x squared is this particular column that we are going to square, which is 1 squared, which will be 1, 3 squared, which will be 9, 4 squared, which will be actually 16. So again, we are going to take our calculator so that you add 16 plus 9 plus 1. So which you are going to get the answer to be 26. So you have your answer as 26 there. So by you doing that, then you are done with the table which we call the regression table that we are going to prepare. So you need to have xy and x squared. That's what you are going to add there. So when you have that, we can now be able to get our b from this particular formula. How are we going to get our b from this particular formula? N already we have it, which was 3. So it's going to be 3 multiplied by, so this dot means multiplication, summation xy. Summation xy is this one, which is 42. And put it in bracket there so that we can look neat. Summation x. Summation x here is 8 multiplied by summation y, which is 13. And then over n again, which is 3 multiplied by here, there is some multiplication here, summation x squared. So summation x squared is what you have here as 26. And now you minus. So this is now where you are going to be careful. This particular summation x and then squared. So what you do, just put that particular bracket there, and then you square it. And what is the content of the bracket? They are saying summation x. So summation x is going to be your 8 here. This 8. So don't confuse, and they use 26. So they are saying summation x and then squared outside there. So for you to actually not to be able to confuse, just put the bracket and then you square it, and you insert the content that was supposed to be inside there, which was summation x. And in this case, summation x is actually 8. So having done that now, we can take our calculator there, because we want to be able to get b. So which is going to be 3 times 42. If you take 3 multiplied by 42, you are going to have 126. So we are going to have our 126 here. From here, 3 times 42 minus 8 times 13. If you take 8 times 13, you are going to have 104 over 3 times 26 there. If you take 3 multiplied by 26, you are going to have 78. And then minus 8 squared, which we know is going to be 64. So that's our b. We want to be able to get b there. So if you take 126 and then you minus 104, then you are going to have 22. So it's going to be 22 over 78 minus 64, which is actually going to be 14. So our b is going to be 22 divided by 14, which will give you 1.57 It's always good to put it up to 4 decimal places. So that's our B that we have actually calculated. So that's how you get our B, which is 1.5714. So we want to be able to get A. How can we be able to get A? So let me just move this one. So we said that the formula of getting A is always summation Y minus B summation X divided by N. So A will be summation Y, which is actually 13. This is our summation Y. So it's going to be 13 minus B, and this particular B is what we calculated here, which is actually 1.5714x. So 1.5714x, and x in this case, I mean 1.5714 summation x. So summation x in this particular case is actually 8. So it's going to be multiplied by 8. So that's why we were starting with B, because B is going to be used under the second part of getting A. So that's why we always start with B, because B is going to be part of getting our A. So it's going to be 13, which is our summation Y, minus B, and this, in this case, B is 1.5714 summation X. And summation X, there's always a multiplication here, that's what you need to be able to know. Summation X in this case was 8. So multiplied by 8 over the N, and the N was actually 3. So our N was 3 there. So what we are going to do then, we are going to take our A to B. So A is going to be equal to, let me just solve the one that is inside the bracket, which is 1.5714 multiplied by 8, which is going to be 13 minus 12.5712 over 3. So A is equals to, in that case, A is going to be equal to, so if you take A, then it's going to be 13 minus the 12.5712, which would actually give you 0. It's going to give you 0.4288 over 3. So 0.42 and then over 3 there. So let me just ensure that the camera is capturing. So it's going to be 0.4288 divided by 3. So if you divide that particular answer by 3, then it's going to be, the answer there is going to be 0.1429. So that's our A. And we were forming our regression equation. So because we were forming our regression equation in the form of Y is equals to A plus BX. That's how you form the regression equation. Remember, we said that the definition of regression equation or regression analysis is a statistical model that forms equations in the form of Y is equals to A plus BX. So let us now form our regression equation. Regression equation now is going to be simple in this particular form. So you are going to have your Y is equals to A, which was actually 1.5714 plus B, which is 0.1429x. So that's how you form the regression equation in that particular manner. So in that now you have A and you have B. That's how you form your regression equation in that particular simple format. So maybe that particular now equation, which you can be able to see X, you can be able to use this particular X in terms of predicting. So maybe in our next class, what we are going to do, we are going to do a equation whereby we can use this particular regression equation to predict the future or to forecast the future. Thank you.